Welcome to Above Par. I'm your host, Kathy Hartwood. I show you how to take more of your talent to the golf course without practicing harder, taking more lessons, or buying new equipment. I show you how to end the frustration of underperforming so you can start playing to your potential. This is where you are going to learn how to think above par so you can play below par. Let's get to it. Hello, my golf friend. Welcome back to Think Above Par. Hope you're having a beautiful summer, playing amazing golf, managing your mind, mastering your golf brain. So I just finished my workshop last week, Master Your Golf Brain. This is a workshop that I do in person at different clubs all across the country that has been really a big hit, and I love to do them. And I decided, instead of waiting for a club to invite me and going through and getting approved and then them having to market it and all those steps that take a lot of time, I decided to have one virtually so that people could come to me and have that experience, especially while we're in the middle of the typical golf season. And this is the thing, is that no two workshops are the same because people ask questions, and I encourage that. And everybody's going to ask a different question. Yet the beauty and the value of it is that you can see yourself in anybody's question. You can go, oh yeah, that applies to me. Or I can see myself in that situation. And that's the beautiful part about being in a setting where people are open and willing to share their experience, because you offer value to other people. It might be something that they never would have brought up or thought about until this one person shared their experience. So it was a great hit, and it's 3 hours long. And one of the comments that I get over and over again is, I cannot believe how they stayed engaged the whole time. Not that I can. They can't believe how they stay engaged the whole time and how fast it goes. And I always have more things that I want to share. I feel like I run out of time. I actually did one of these workshops 6 hours. It might have been 5.5 hours, like 2.5 hours in the morning, 2.5 hours in the afternoon, breakfast, lunch, like happy hour afterwards. It was a big day. And I still had more things to share, and everybody stayed and was engaged. And so there's so much to cover relative to mastering your golf brain. So if you didn't get an opportunity to attend that one, I encourage you to get on the wait list so that you're the first to know when I do that again. So anyway, before that workshop, I participated in a member guest. It's kind of like my jam these days. I do member guests, and they're lots of fun. One of the things that happened during the member guest, it was 5 9-hole matches, and my partner and I, we won our flight. And so then we got into a shootout. And then in this community, there were golf carts everywhere, all backed around the back of the greens. There was quite a big crowd. It was rowdy. People were hammered. Right? And I guess there were 9 twosomes, 9 pairs as we started the shootout. So a lot of action going on. And one of the questions when I rehashed our experience with my partner was that she asked me if it would be useful to go out and recreate that experience so that maybe she could learn or figure out how to manage herself, manage her mind a little bit better the next time that happens. And it's such an interesting question that I had never really thought about doing a podcast or an episode on this, because so often people will ask me, I just go to the putting green, for instance, and I just try to imagine that I'm hitting this 3-footer to win the club championship. And so that I can feel the pressure of that, and I can feel the fear and maybe hitting a flop shot into a tucked pin when there's people watching. And I want to try and recreate that in my mind. And they asked me, is that a useful tactic? Is that something that you would suggest that I do? And this is what I shared with her, and this is what I want to share with you and talk about today, is I am all for visualizing yourself in an experience and having success. I think that's a beautiful thing. Can you relate to this, where you picture yourself in a scenario, and you can picture yourself either doing really well, or you can picture yourself totally stinking and bombing. You might visualize yourself winning the club championship, and how would you feel and how would you act doing that? I think that's awesome. I think it's really great on and off the golf course. I want you to start stepping into the identity of somebody who wins that championship, who qualifies for a USGA event, who wins the member guest, who does well in the shootout, whatever it is, maybe lowering your handicap or shooting that number. I want you to put yourself visually into that scenario and feel all the emotions that go along with that, so that your brain kind of gets ahead of it. This is manifestation, so to speak, right? So you get ahead of it and you can sense that, you can feel it, and you start stepping into that. You're like, of course I won this because I've already visualized it 400 times. That is totally different. And I encourage that all the time. That is different than what I want to talk about here, is that going to the putting green and trying to recreate the feeling of having a 3-footer to win the member guest in front of hundreds of people and you witness yourself making it over and over again is not useful. But this is the thing that I want you to get and take away from this. It's not that you're recreating a situation, because the situations could be endless. When we play golf, there's no two situations the same any given round. Rarely are you in the exact same spot with the exact same pin placement in the exact same match for whatever win or victory is at stake. I mean, that just doesn't happen. So trying to recreate a situation exactly as you anticipate it might be again is nearly impossible. And there are infinite situations, I guess is more my point. It's not about you being in a situation. It's not about you being in a situation and managing yourself well. I just want you to know that, because situations do not create emotions. I just want you to know that. It is about you playing golf and pivoting from the emotion that situation created. So you being able to experience pressure and then pivot out of pressure into a place where you can focus and swing freely is what you want to rehearse. Being able to feel anxious and minimize it, lessen it, doesn't have to go away. First tee jitters, we always have them. And witnessing yourself still being able to swing and hit a good shot and get your ball in play. Feeling the fear of hitting a short shot over water to a tucked pin and being able to make a swing and execute it because you were able to get yourself to a place of certainty in that situation, less fear, is what you want to do. You're pivoting out of and away from an emotion that will not serve you to an emotion that will serve you. You're pivoting away from an emotion that is not beneficial for you making your best swings to one that is more beneficial and useful for you to make your best swings. Most repeatable swings, the swings that are more likely to produce a result that you can predict. That's ultimately what your objective is. It is not about recreating a situation, because this is the problem. What people tell me is like, I want to learn how to play well with pressure. I want to learn how to play well with fear. I want to learn how to play well with anxiety. And what I'm offering to you is not too many people play well from those situations. So that's not the goal. The goal isn't for you to have pressure, which is self-induced, by the way, to have pressure and make great swings. The goal is for you to recognize that you're putting pressure on yourself in this situation and to pivot out of it and away from it so that you can focus and think clearly. In my opinion, no one plays well under pressure. What they do is they step into another level or another zone where they're able to focus very clearly, where other people in those same situations, that emotion of pressure makes them freeze or choke or squeeze the crap out of the club, chili dip it, lay the sod over it, shank it, big old duck hook, whatever it is. The emotion of pressure is the same. One is swinging from that in a place that they can't swing freely. And the other person is going, this is pressure. I can focus at this point. I can pivot. I can create some calm. I can create some confidence. That's what you want to do. And then what you do is you recognize, this is the emotion that I have rehearsed and practiced, and I've pivoted out of it. Bring it on. Recreate it as many times as you want to recreate it. There's only so many emotions you're going to have playing the game of golf. Typically, the ones that really get in your way of you performing your best: fear, pressure, doubt, uncertainty, anxiety, nervousness, anger, frustration. Right? Let's just say there's a handful. If you can learn, teach yourself, practice, rehearse being in some of those emotional states and then pivoting back, pivoting emotionally, processing the emotion and getting yourself back to a place where you can swing freely and think clearly, or get to neutral, or get to less of that, less pressure, less anxiety, less fear, that is a mental skill. What the situation is doesn't matter. Right? Because when you have a situation, people watching you behind the green to win the shootout, people cheering for you in a match play event, you putting pressure on yourself to qualify for a USGA event, the fear that you might have of not blowing your best round when you have 3 holes to go, the anxiety that you feel teeing off as a finalist in the club championship. None of those situations create that emotion, but you think they do. It's your thoughts about them that create that emotion. But you being able to witness what emotion you're experiencing. And I'm not saying we're not going to have wonky thoughts and we're not going to have thoughts that create emotions. This is golf. And golf rattles our brain. Golf instills a lot of fear, especially if it matters to us. So I'm not saying you're going to be void of that. You're not going to be totally numb to it. What I'm saying is you're going to witness it and you're going to know that it's coming from a thought. You're going to say, oh, there's that emotion. I know how to pivot and produce good results from here. Not trying to imagine it in your head, because I promise you there is no way you're going to be able to recreate the energy of people cheering, the exhaustion you might have at the end of the round, the exhilaration from winning your flight, the adrenaline that might be in your body. There's no way you can recreate all the energy that is in that one specific moment. So while it sounds like a beautiful idea, I'm just going to go there and I'm going to imagine it and visualize it. And then I'm going to witness myself hitting a great shot. I think that's useful. I'm not saying don't do that, but really what the ultimate goal is for you to name the emotion that you're trying to recreate. And anytime you feel that, take it as an opportunity for you to learn how to pivot away from it into something that is useful and beneficial, or to minimize it so that you can produce a better result. That is also a win. All right, my friends. So if the question comes up, in your own head, I'm going to go to the putting green and I'm going to try and recreate that 3-foot putt that I totally jacked on the last hole for the club championship, and then I'm going to recreate the feeling of being totally humiliated, and I'm going to witness myself and try and practice hitting good putts from there. That's really hard to do, but you can practice getting yourself or witnessing yourself in similar emotional states. And that's where you get to practice. And that's where you get to build up the skills, the mental skills, and the memories of being able to do it. Then this is the thing. It's so important that if you have a moment where you had pressure and you pivoted away from pressure and you still create a great result, you want to make sure that you give yourself a win in those moments. Meaning you want to acknowledge that you did that, because then your brain will be able to have a memory and tap into it. Don't minimize it. They all count and they're all valuable for you to build up those skills of how to master your golf frame. All right, my friends. Recreate and practice those situations all you want if you can, but I want you to know that it is the emotion that you're trying to recreate and learn how to pivot out of, all right? And if you want more support and you want to learn more about how to master your golf brain, I encourage you to join me inside your mental caddy. You'll see all the links below. All right, friends, have a beautiful week and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.